Join us for the Fanatical Prospecting Bootcamp that will help your team 5x their pipeline in 90 days or less. We'll be hosting it on March 10th and 11th in Atlanta, Georgia. Go to salesgravy.com/live. That's salesgravy.com/live and use the code podcast to save $100.
This is Jeb Blunt, and it's Money Monday on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Say, make money, money, make money, money, money. Make money, money, make money, money, money. Money makes the world go round. I'm the talk around town. Remy gave me the sound.
All right, it is Monday, the most important day of the sales week, because when you start your week strong, you'll end your week strong. It's hard to believe that 2026 is the 20th anniversary for the Sales Gravy Podcast. That makes us the granddaddy of them all. Back when we first started podcasting, there were only a handful of shows. Today, there are tens of thousands of podcasts. So thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the entire team here at Sales Gravy for choosing to listen to our podcast. We love our audience, and we also love it when our audience loves us back with awesome Apple reviews like this one from John J. Christie. John writes, Money Monday is always a great way to start the week. It never disappoints. If you enjoy the Sales Gravy Podcast like John, please take 10 seconds, literally 10 seconds, and give us a 5-star rating and post a short review. You have no idea how much it helps us out. Have you ever gone into a closing meeting, a sales presentation, or even a prospecting call with total confidence? That mindset and feeling that everything's going to go your way, that nothing can go wrong, that you're absolutely going to win. Look, I've been there and I know you have too. It is one of the greatest feelings in sales. But let's juxtapose that against going into a meeting feeling insecure, where your focus is on everything that could go wrong versus everything that could go right. And then, as soon as something does go wrong, everything starts to spiral downward. There is absolutely nothing that can make or break a deal like confidence. And in this episode, we're going to explore exactly where confidence comes from, why it matters so much in sales, and most importantly, what you can do to build the unshakable confidence that closes deals. Recently, I learned a profound lesson about confidence. I was invited to play golf with a group of business people in Florida. It was a beautiful day. It was sunshine. It was a great course. And everything should have been absolutely perfect, except I'm not a very good golfer. And these guys, well, they were good. I mean, really good. They were the kind of golfers who carry single-digit handicaps and talk about their swing plane like it's a science project. So I'm standing on the first tee, watching them stripe their drive straight down the middle, and I can feel it happening. That little voice in my head starts whispering, you don't belong here. You're going to embarrass yourself. Everyone's going to see how bad you are. Still, I started strong and made it through the first couple of holes without humiliating myself. But then I hit a bad shot and then another, and instead of shaking it off like I normally would, I started fixating on those bad shots. And that's when the downward spiral began. Every swing became an exercise in anxiety. I was so focused on not messing up that I couldn't help but mess up. My mechanics fell apart, my rhythm disappeared, my focus was gone. And by the end of the round, I had managed to play one of the worst games of golf in my life. Not because I suddenly forgot how to swing a club, but because I let insecurity take over and drive my mindset and behavior. Now, I did manage to keep a smile on my face. We were, of course, playing golf in the Florida sunshine, but inside I was frustrated because I knew what had happened. I let my insecurity about being the weakest player in the group sabotage my entire game. And here's what hit me on the flight home. What I did on the golf course is exactly what I see happening to salespeople all the time. One moment of uncertainty, one unexpected challenge, one lost deal, and suddenly a salesperson who is perfectly capable starts spiraling down into a sea of insecurity. Their confidence evaporates, and with it goes their ability to perform. In sales, because we can't always control the playing field and because we don't always feel like we should be where we are, especially when we're dealing with a C-suite or really high-level decision makers, or we're in super competitive situations, or we don't really know what we're talking about, one thing that goes wrong can create a lot of other things that go wrong, creating a downward insecurity spiral that is real and deadly to closing the sale. In sales, there is nothing that sells like confidence. Nothing. Buyers lean into confidence. They're attracted to it. They trust it. And because of emotional contagion, which is your ability to transfer your emotions to another person, you basically take your confidence and hand it to the buyer, who then gets more confidence in you. When you walk into a meeting radiating confidence, the buyer thinks, this person knows what they're doing. They believe in what they're selling. I can trust them. But when you walk into a meeting insecure, the buyer can pick up on that too. They start thinking, why is this person nervous? What aren't they telling me? Maybe this isn't the right solution. So the question is, where does confidence come from and how do you get it? Well, confidence by its very nature comes from the inside. It's a mindset. It's something that you believe. And this belief comes from certainty. When you feel certain that you can control the outcome, you're more confident. When you're in situations that feel familiar, you're more confident. When you're talking about a product or service or some part of your offering that you totally understand, you feel more confident. When you've executed the sales process perfectly and built deep relationships with your stakeholders, you feel more confident that they're going to buy from you. When you've practiced your presentation multiple times and know it rote, you feel more confident. And by the way, the same thing works in reverse. Uncertainty begets insecurity. When you walk into a situation and you feel uncertain, and this happens to a lot of brand new salespeople who don't know what to say or feel like they don't really understand the product offering, their industry, or the customer's business, it creates this level of insecurity. So the answer is, if we want to be more confident, we need to create more certainty. Let me give you an example of this from my horrible, awful, terrible round of golf. Somewhere in the middle of that round, I got desperate. I was playing so bad that I just started playing entire holes with my 7-iron because it was the one club I felt I could be confident with. Except for putting, I would hit the 7-iron off the tee, I would hit it on the fairway, and I would chip with it. Because 150 yards at a time with my 7-iron, I can make it go straight down the fairway and hit the green. That certainty in that particular club helped me feel more confident, and my game actually improved when I stuck with what I knew worked. Now in sales, like golf, there is nothing you can be 100% certain about. There are way too many variables. We're dealing with human beings. We're dealing with competitors. We have a shifting landscape, and even the accounts that are in your pipeline, they're always changing as well. So for us as sales professionals, there's no absolute certainty. But there are ways that you can boost certainty in order to gain more confidence. First, invest in yourself through education. If you get insecure when you're talking about things in your industry or about your product that you don't understand, then go educate yourself. Take time to learn. Take classes. Go to your LMS and take e-learning. Read everything about your product. Become an expert, not just in your product, but also in your industry. And learn about business. The more you can educate yourself about business, the more you gain business acumen, which makes you feel more confident in conversations with executives. When you know your stuff cold, when you understand your product inside and out, and when you can speak intelligently about your industry and your customers' business challenges, uncertainty evaporates, and with it goes insecurity. Next, plan every single call. If you're about to go into any sales call, have a plan before you go in. Winging it is wickedly stupid. Because when you wing it, you create uncertainty. So sit down and think about every single call. What am I going to do? What questions am I going to ask? What's my objective for being here? And what am I going to close for at the end? Have that plan, write it down, review it before you walk in the door. Because planning creates certainty, and certainty creates confidence. In addition to pre-call planning, you should murder board or red team your large presentations and closing calls. This means pulling the thread on everything that could possibly go wrong. Every objection you could get, every pushback, every hard question. Think through the different stakeholders who are going to be around the table and the type of questions they're going to ask and the potential things they might say. Then find somebody on your team or somebody in your household to role play all those scenarios with. Over the years, I found that nothing gives me more confidence than murder boarding, because when I get into those situations, especially with objections or negotiations that can be super intimidating, the more I role play those things, the better I am at them and the easier they are to deal with. In fact, they're far less worse in real life than they were in the role playing. Murder boarding creates certainty around handling the unexpected. And finally, keep a full pipeline. This is powerful. There is nothing that makes you more confident than being able to sell like you don't have to sell. When you are fanatical about prospecting and build a full pipeline, it gives you lots of options, which means that you can walk away from anything. This allows you to detach from the outcome. And when it doesn't make a difference if you win or lose, you gain immense confidence, which is why a full pipeline is the ultimate confidence builder. Now, much of this goes back to mindset, the thing that's happening on the inside of you. One of the things I do, and I know this is kind of weird, but it works, is before I walk into a sales conversation or meeting, I look into the mirror and I tell myself, I'm a great salesperson. I actually say the words out loud. And yes, it's a bit cheesy, but saying those words, changing my body language, pushing my shoulders up and my chin out, the power pose, as some would say, that actually begins to change my mindset and it makes me feel more confident. Add to that eating well, getting plenty of sleep, and by the way, sleep really does wonders for your confidence, and making sure before you go into any big presentation that you're not going in on an empty stomach. All of those things help build your confidence along with exercise and taking care of yourself. Now, because I've been there, because I sell every single day and I've been doing this for 30 years, I know what it's like to walk into a meeting and feel insecure. It happens to me on a regular basis. But here's the thing. I'm very careful not to let people see me sweat because insecurity in sales is a very poor mixture. Now, I know that's really hard to do when you feel insecure, but because emotions are contagious and people have a tendency to respond in kind, I want to avoid transferring my insecurity to them. So I'm very careful with my body language, eye contact, voice inflection, and how fast I speak. And one tactic I use when I feel insecure is to slow down, pause, and ask a question. This gives me a moment to regain my composure because the last thing I want to do is allow any insecurity that I feel to transfer to my prospect in a way that would cause them to feel uncertain about me. Now, before I wrap up with my final thoughts, I want you to go check out the Outbound Conference at outboundconference.com. Outbound is the biggest, baddest conference in sales, and it's truly an event like none other. Whether you're leading a sales team or you're in the trenches making it happen as a sales professional, the tools, techniques, tactics, and strategies that you learn at Outbound will give you a decisive competitive edge. So go get your ticket today at outboundconference.com and come shake my hand at Outbound. Confidence isn't something that you're born with. It's something you build through preparation, knowledge, practice, and a full pipeline. The good news is that all of these things are within your control. You can choose to educate yourself, you can choose to plan, you can choose to practice, and you can choose to prospect. So here's what I want you to do this week. First, identify your gaps. Where do you feel uncertain in your sales process? Is it product knowledge, industry knowledge, objection handling, closing? Whatever it is, write it down. Second, create a learning plan. For each gap you identified, create a specific plan to fill it. What books will you read? What training will you take? Who will you shadow or learn from? Third, plan your sales calls. Don't wing another call this week. Sit down and plan out your next 3 sales conversations. Write down your objectives, your questions, and your targeted next step. Fourth, murder board your biggest opportunity. If you've got a major presentation or closing call coming up, spend an hour this week role-playing every possible scenario with a colleague. And fifth, evaluate your pipeline. Is it full enough that you can sell without desperation? Is it full enough that you can sell without having to sell? If not, block time this week for some serious prospecting. This is how you build the kind of unshakable confidence that buyers respond to competitors' fear and feels so good. And remember, when it's time to go home, when you're tired and you're worn out and all you want to do is stop, always make one more call. Because that one more call gives you the confidence that you can walk into any door, anytime, and stand toe-to-toe with any buyer and have a winning sales conversation. This is Jeb Blunt, and I'll see you next time on the Sales Gravy Podcast.
Survival of the fittest, you can sink or swim. I've been broke, I ain't never going back again. I need some C-notes, some cheddar, and a stack of ends. I need a bowl of dough, I don't need no Facebook friends. I need a pack of them snaps, a handful of Fetty Wops, and rubber band on my greenbacks. Look, dawg, don't be playing with my paper. I need every red cent, that's why I brought my little scraper. Money, 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 money.